So I'd like to welcome to the Wayback Country Jamboree today a true legend of voiceovers and a true Disney legend, having provided the voices for such characters as the Aristocat, French Chef, and Milkman, including also Splinter in the original series of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Please welcome to the show today, old-time country bear himself, Peter Renaday.
Hello, how are you?
Well, it's a pleasure to be talking to you. I know you did a lot of work with Disney, and including country music, too.
Yeah, that's right. We had no idea at the time that country music would still be going all these years later, 50 years later.
Exactly. So let's go back to 1935. You were born in Louisiana.
That's right.
What are your earliest memories of growing up?
Well, I was lucky in that my uncle owned two of the movie theaters in town, later three, and I got to go to all of the movies.
Yes.
And I took advantage of it. I saw probably every movie produced in the late 30s, early, and all through the 40s and 50s until I got to college.
Yes, the good old days.
Oh, yeah, right.
So, would you share with us your first introduction into Disney and voiceover work?
Let's see. The first thing I did at Disney's, voiceover-wise, huh? That's a good question. I think I did, well, what I started out doing, the thing that got me going was the Disney Players. There was an amateur theatrical group on the lot that once a year would produce a play, and the benefit, the money would go to the John Tracy Clinic, which was one of probably Walt's favorite charity.
Okay.
And we did one a year, and I was cast in Light Up the Sky, and I guess word got around, hey, this skinny guy is pretty good, and they started calling me in to do, little things here and there, usually just for nothing, and I got started that way.
I see. And is that how you got introduced to Disney and how they more or less discovered you then?
No, I was working, I originally started at Disney's in 1959, August of 59, as a messenger.
Oh, a messenger. Okay.
Yeah, I came out, I finished college, and then I had done 2 years in the Army, and right after the Army, I came here to Burbank. And started working right from that. I had only been out of the Army about 2 weeks.
Is that right?
When I got the job at Disney's. That's what got me going. I went from traffic, from the messenger service, to art props, which was an interesting department. We kind of did all the little odd jobs that weren't assigned to anybody else. They weren't exactly animation. They weren't exactly special effects. They were a little bit of everything.
So, in other words, an extra.
Exactly, yeah.
And you also had a mini contribution to the old movie, The Love Bug.
Yeah, I was the cop on the bridge toward the end, where Herbie was trying to commit suicide, and Dean Jones is trying to stop him and almost goes over the edge of the bridge himself. And Herb Vigran and I, playing the other cop, drove up and pulled Dean back over the top of the car, and I say something about, did you see that? That little car saved his life.
Oh, yes.
And Herb looks at me like I'm crazy and says, you've been on that Haight-Ashbury beat too long. You can tell it was the 60s when that was.
Exactly. Well, that's a truly iconic piece in that film. I remember that.
Yeah, that was my first, well, no, it wasn't either. My first feature picture at Disney's was Lieutenant Robin Crusoe.
Okay, yes.
With Dick Van Dyke. Yeah, I was the helicopter pilot at the end of the movie.
Okay. And what are your memories of that?
Oh, I enjoyed doing that. It was just a few days' work, but I got to sit around and talk to Dick Van Dyke.
Oh, yes.
And I remember at the time he mentioned something about he was already thinking about retiring.
Oh, wow.
And I said, oh, you can't be thinking about it. He says, well, the series will be over, his show, the Dick Van Dyke Show. And I said, yeah, but I said, I know you probably don't need the money, but I don't think you can give up showbiz. And he said, well, we'll see. Well, he didn't, needless to say.
Yes, and at 95 years old, he's still doing stuff.
He's still going strong,
yeah. Exactly. Now, among your earliest work in Disney voice was also as the petit cafe chef and also the milkman on the Aristocats.
Right.
What are your memories of doing that movie?
Well, Willie Renaday, who was the director of Aristocats, called me in and said, you're French, aren't you? Because he knew I had a French name. Originally, the spelling is Renoudet. And I said, yeah, Willie, I've been acquainted with Cajun French all my life, but I don't really speak French. I said, if somebody gives it to me, written down, I can sound like I know what I'm saying. So we came up with a few phrases, expletives and whatnot, and I just went down to the sound stage, B stage it was.
Okay.
And did that in about probably 15, 20 minutes at the most.
Is that right? And it's one of your most remembered to this day, even though it only was half an hour or 15 minutes at the most.
Yeah, it's strange that little sequence stands out like that.
Exactly. Now, what always caught my attention is when the milkman said, "Suck le bleu." That was always great. Yes.
Yeah, that was one of the few things that I did know.
Exactly, yes. So for those wondering, how was the recording done on those old clips for the milkman and the chef?
It was just done on one of the effects stages. We had the big stage was the orchestra stage. Stage A, that's where you usually did all the major musical numbers. And then there was B stage, which was additional dialogue, looping, things like that.
Okay.
And then on C stage was the sound effects, where Jimmy McDonald was king, and he had all of his paraphernalia on C stage. Make all those funny noises,
Exactly, yes.
And B stage is where we did most of them.
Okay.
It was kind of an old-fashioned way of doing it at the time, as I remember. We didn't have close-up mics. We had the mic up in the ceiling, just like if you were recording on a soundstage.
Okay, that's
on a
what I
movie
was wondering.
soundstage.
Yes, just like you see the old TV shows done.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what would you say is responsible for the lasting impact on those old Disney movies, in your opinion?
The lasting impact of the movies, did you say?
Yes. Well, either, but no, the movies.
Yeah, the movies, because I was going to say, I'm not in them enough to make any lasting impact, I'm afraid. I would say that they were so popular at the time because, especially then, people were still looking for a family type of picture,
Exactly.
that they could take the kids to and not be worried about the language or situations.
Yes.
So they were still popular all through that time, particularly through the 60s. Well, The Love Bug was one of the highest grossing.
And while at Disney, did you ever meet the great man, Walt Disney?
Yeah, strangely enough, when I went for the interview, Ken Sealing was in charge of personnel at the time, and we were told, now if you ever meet Walt, you call him Walt. You don't say Mr. Disney and all that stuff. He likes to be. Everybody here goes by first names.
Okay.
And I thought, well, someday I may actually run into him. Who knows? And the very first day when I was reporting to work in the traffic department, I came to the door of the animation building and started to open it, and here's Walt right ahead of me, 6 feet coming out.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm not going to say, hey, Walt.
No, exactly.
I just said, good morning, and he kind of shuffled toward me. He always seemed to be having so much on his mind, you know, that he seemed preoccupied a lot of the time.
Is that right? Yes, because I've interviewed a lot of you legends, and I get different responses by so many of you. Yes, of what he was like. Yeah.
Well, it depends too, I guess, on your level. I was never, up there with the ones that did all the animation. I mean, Frank and Ollie and that bunch, Ward Kimball. I knew them, but I was never on that level where I was brought in on meetings with Walt or anything like that.
Okay. And among some of your most notable work in the parks of Disney was as Max and Henry on the Country Bear Jamboree.
Yeah, sure. That's the the one that's lasted the longest. Plus, we did 3 different shows. I enjoyed doing a lot of the others. Captain Nemo was fun to do. Unfortunately, the Nautilus sub ride is gone. And while my version of Lincoln was running, I enjoyed that. Of course, what I was doing, and I am perfectly willing to admit it, I was just trying to make it sound as much like Royal Dano sounded in the original Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, which I understand they've got most of his stuff back now, and they've edited it to whatever Lincoln is saying now. I don't know. I haven't seen the Hall of Presidents recently.
And what is your thoughts how they've changed different things over the years?
Well, if you've got Royal Dano and you're lucky enough to get him, I always thought it was a shame. Royal, who looked so much like Lincoln, never really got to play Lincoln on camera, except in one little episode of I Love Lucy, a comedic thing where she was having a dream about talking to Washington and Lincoln and Jefferson.
I see.
And then they had Royal Dano come in to play Lincoln for that, but it was just a gag. It's too bad that he didn't really get to do a nice feature picture like Daniel Day-Lewis or somebody like that.
Yes,
Raymond
for
Massey.
sure. Now, among your work outside of Disney is the voice of the legendary Splinter on the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. How did you land that role?
Just went into audition like everybody else.
Okay.
I remember being surprised to see Barry Gordon because I hadn't really come in contact with him.
Yeah.
But I had admired his work so much in the movie 1,000 Pounds when he was just a kid,
Mm-hmm.
The guys, Rob Paulson, one of the best in the business, Cam Clark.
Yes, Cam Clark. What is your memories of him?
Well, Cam and I knew each other long before the show. We had done a play together.
That's what
Hound of the Baskervilles. I was Sherlock Holmes, and he was Henry Baskerville.
Okay.
And of course, Townsend Coleman, who is one of the best in the business, he actually did a few episodes of my part, Splinter, when I was in the hospital. I had to go in for a lung operation, and Townsend took over and did 3 or 4. They asked him if he would do it, and he said, "I'll only do it if you send the checks to Pete," which I thought was very nice.
Very nice, yeah.
He did a great job, too.
He sure did. Now, what is your best recollections of the original cast of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? What is that? To many fans, that might be what you're best remembered for today. What is that
I'm sure it is,
meant to you?
Yeah, we seem to hit it off right from the beginning. I mean, everybody got along so well, and we had so much fun doing the things. We had no idea that none of us, I don't think any of us had ever even heard of the comic strip at that time.
Yes.
And just the title was so unusual. Teenage Mutant Ninja what?
Exactly.
And we all got going on it at the same time, and just had a great time.
Okay.
And it kept getting renewed, and first we did 65, and then we did a few more, then we did a few for France.
Yes.
And then it wound up being 192 episodes.
Wow, amazing. Now, I wasn't a huge fan of that. I was more a huge fan of your Disney work. But during all your career, who has been or what has been your most favorite voice to characterize?
Well, I guess Splinter would be my favorite in terms of the animated ones. I did Mickey for about 10 years for the records.
Yes.
LP records, very few people know about that, but particularly the ones that had songs, because they knew I could sing, so never got to do it for anything animated, except maybe there was a little bit of an intro for one of the Disney series that won with, what was it called? No, I can't even remember. The Mouse House, yeah.
House of Mouse, yes.
Yeah. But other than that, I didn't get to do any animated Mickey, unfortunately.
I see. Okay. And what was it like taking on such an iconic role as Mickey?
Well, at the time, you're thinking it's only for the LP records, which wasn't like having it animated and on the screen and all of that.
Yes.
But the more we did it, and then of course that took me into doing the voice for Mickey for the Talking Mickey toy.
Exactly.
Which was a lot of fun. Because we had little stories going with that later on, where Mickey and Goofy interacted with each other.
Oh, yes.
They were able to run a connection between the two dolls and have them talk to each other.
Amazing, yes.
That was when Tony Pope was doing Goofy.
And so what, in your opinion, what is your thoughts on the modern styles of animation?
Well, I'm not that, to tell the truth, not that familiar with it. I don't get to see a lot of it. I'm kind of an old stick in the mud here. I don't, especially now, the last year and a half, we haven't been able to go to movie theaters or anything.
That's true.
So if it's not on TV, I don't get ready to see it.
Exactly. I hear you there, yes. It just seems to be so robotic compared to the pen and hand drawings that you guys used to do.
Oh, yeah. To me,
it's almost fake-like.
Particularly that one with Mickey and the gang, where they look like they were trying to make them look ugly. I don't know. I guess that's supposed to be funnier.
Yeah, but it just doesn't come off the same. And so, when thinking about your legacy, or how you would like your work to be remembered, how would you like that to be remembered?
Well, I guess I'm proud of the things that I've done. The Splinter, especially, was very, very popular.
Yes,
and I still
course.
get fan mail for almost every week for someone wanting some memorabilia from the Turtles show. I guess I would have liked to have done more on camera stuff for the studio, and then they gave me a few roles. I did about a dozen or so.
Okay, yes.
With computer wore tennis shoes. Nothing memorable. The most memorable stuff that I've done in my career has been on stage.
Yes, of course.
And stage with everything else. Once that curtain falls, it's gone.
Exactly.
There are no memories of it because nobody is allowed to tape it. Or
yes.
I have a few tapes of just for fun, for my own purpose. But it'll never be seen by anybody except
for you.
My family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So talking about stage, I have to ask you what I ask a lot of them that have done plays and stuff. What is the difference between on stage and behind the scenes?
Behind the scenes, like what you mean, like
animation or voice work. What is the difference between live up front with an audience?
The difference is the audience. You do definitely get a feeling if you're connecting, if it's working. And of course, if it's a comedy, you get laughs or whatever.
Yes.
But
and
even
we
when
feed
it's not
off
a comedy, there's a certain feeling that you're pulling from an audience and feel that they're with you. They want you to succeed, really.
Yes.
And I don't know, there's just a warmth, a connection there that's quite appealing to any actor, I'm sure.
And I've got a couple more questions there for you, Peter. And first of all, what was it like to work with Dean Jones?
Dean was great. Yeah. I was really his dialogue coach, supposedly, on Horse in a Gray Flannel Suit.
Okay.
That's when we met. And it was just something he had asked for. I guess he felt he'd like to have someone to run lines with first thing in the morning, and he asked for a dialogue coach, which is all a dialogue coach does. I've never agreed with the title. Should neither be dialogue coach nor dialogue director. They don't direct anything. They don't really coach anything.
Exactly.
They're just there to run lines.
Okay.
And see. Yes. But, maybe there were dialogue coaches in the past that worked with people in the studio situation, the old studio-like things. We ran lines every morning, and he was always letter perfect. He didn't really need anybody to run lines because he was always right there. He had them.
He right on the money sort of thing, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
In summing up today, what would you say has been the greatest animated cartoon of all time, in your opinion?
Well, I'm still pretty impressed with the first two, but Snow White and Pinocchio. Pinocchio has the most impressive scenes, I think.
Sure does, yeah.
Snow White being the first one is so incredible that you think, this is what they came out with, the first shot out the barrel. That's amazing.
Exactly, yes. It really set them all up for such ones as Aristocats and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, even though it's not a Disney creation, but yes, it was original.
Snow White, besides Snow White herself, came up with, and the witch was so impressive, 7 little characters like that all really set up a personality. They've got their individual names, and the names fit the personalities.
Exactly.
But they're amazing. They're just amazing.
So thank you for a wonderful trip down Disney's magical memory lane.
Well, you're quite welcome, and it was my pleasure to be a part of your show here.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Same here.
Yes.
You take care, Johnny.
And I hope to do it again someday, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. God bless you. Bye-bye.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.